Hello, everybody. Right now, I'd like to talk to you about Palestine in a two-part video series. This one is going to be reasons for a Palestinian state, or reasons for a Palestinian statehood. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start listing off reasons that recognizing Palestine as its own country and giving it UN recognition and the world's recognition is a good idea. Another video I'll be releasing is reasons why that's a bad idea. So stay tuned for that one. And if you do watch this video, make sure you watch the other one. So here you go. Reasons for a Palestinian statehood and why it is a good thing. Reasons for a Palestinian statehood is political stability. It'll absolutely be a little harder to go to war like in a country such as Israel can go to war with Palestine because it'll be against another country and it'll be another political obstacle to actually climb over before they go to war with them. And one of the reasons that Israel is going to war with them, and it's like, to be honest with you, is because the place is ran by terrorists and gang members and smugglers. They're not governed by nice people to begin with. Those people that are in power, if they actually have their own state and they are actually in control of a actual country and they have official control of their country, they become a little more defensive. And what I mean by that is when Hezbollah merged with Lebanon many years ago and became a government, Hezbollah now has to protect the infrastructure of the country itself. So they're not just some terrorist group anymore. They're actually government officials. So when you have damage to the government and you have damage to the infrastructure, it falls on damage of Hezbollah. And it can absolutely do way more damage to that group because you're doing economic damage to the state itself. 20 years ago, because Hezbollah has been around for a longer time, if you had a bombing campaign in Lebanon, not that we would, it was a democracy at the time, you're not doing damage to Hezbollah. If you're doing $1 billion of damage, it's just to the government. You couldn't do $1 billion of damage to Hezbollah. It would be increasingly difficult. You'd have to find maybe the illegitimate front companies. You can do damage that way. You could freeze bank accounts, but intelligence communities were already doing that. So let's go shift back to Palestine. The two major groups is Hamas in Gaza and Fatah in West Bank. Both of them are authoritarian. Both of them are terrorist groups. Both of them have a genocidal ideology, and both of them have a lot of influence on the local schools and literally brainwash their kids into becoming a bunch of radical militants, and it works. If they could become their own country, you could easily put pressure on them to stop. Not that it wouldn't necessarily work, but it would be easier to get through to them. So to summarize, if Palestine became its own state, it'd be more politically stable because the groups there would actually have to govern the place and would be accountable to their own people a little more. It would be easier to engage with them diplomatically because they would be government officials, and it would be harder to go to war with them because it is a country. It's a little easier to go to war with a terrorist group in land that does not really belong to anybody. Now, this doesn't come without challenges. It's not going to be easy either. Palestine, in both regions, isn't necessarily governed per se by Fatah and Hamas, but there's a lot of other smaller groups as well. So it is spliced up and it's chopped up, same way a gang would chop up territory. And of course, the people in it are not nice people and are not looking for peace in any way, shape, or form. But if you gave them some civic power, that power would be easily taken away, a lot easier taken away. So it's not a perfect situation by any stretch, but there are advantages to having a Palestinian state. And the final, one last thing. A lot of people in the Middle East like to grandstand and use Palestine as an identity marker. Starting to see that in the West as well. Some people just support the Palestinians as an identity marker, even though none of the governments as a whole do. Palestinian statehood would make it a little less likely that these groups would get funding from hardliners in other countries as well. So although this situation is not perfect, might be the best answer as of right now in this moment in time. But I'll let you guys decide that. Either way, the problems aren't going away, and Hamas, Fatah, and all the other reactionary groups aren't going to become nice people overnight, but it may very well be a better situation for everybody, for everyone involved, if they were allowed to become a country. Tell me what you think in the comments.